Today we are going to study about reactions to stress or the responses to stress. So as we saw in the model of stress appraisal by Richard Lazarus, there are four types of responses, namely physiological responses, behavioral responses, emotional responses and cognitive responses. So over here in this topic we are going to study three types of reaction, which are bodily reactions, behavioral and cognitive reaction. Over here behavioral and cognitive are combined into one, and the third one is emotional reactions. Okay, so the bodily reactions, what happens in this? So we know that if an individual or an animal faces an external threat or an external stress, then he requires energy to face that situation, and that energy, that demand of energy is fulfilled by our automatic nervous system. Okay, so in the year 1920, Walter Cannon described the entire physiological mechanism. Okay, so Walter Cannon in 1920 described the entire physiological mechanism, and in this mechanism he included the neurons, the nervous system and the endocrine system. So what are neurons? They are the transmitters in our brain that transmits the messages. Okay, then the nervous system, this nervous system, our nervous system is from brain to our spinal cord. Okay, and the nervous system is responsible for behavioral changes or for the movements that we make. Okay, then we have endocrine system. It includes that is, endocrine system is a chemical messenger system through which the hormones are directly released into our circulatory system. Okay, so the neurons to transmit message in brains, nervous system for the behavioral and for the movements, and the endocrine system for the movements of hormones. Okay, so the origin of physiological reactions related to stress is in hypothalamus. So physiological reaction related to stress is in hypothalamus. Hypothalamus lies in our brain. Okay, and hypothalamus is also known as the center of stress. Okay, so in the time of stress or in the time of crisis, hypothalamus initiates actions along two pathway glands. So hypothalamus have two pathway glands through which he initiates action towards the stress. So first one is our automatic nervous system and the other one is through the pituitary gland. Okay, now this automatic nervous system is divided into two, that is sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. So let's understand about the differences between this sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. Okay, so over here you can see the basic division of our automatic nervous system, that is sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system. So what happens in parasympathetic system is your pupils constrict, that is your pupils constrict, that is it becomes smaller. Then it stimulates saliva, means you start salivating, constricts the airways, that means you will have difficulty in breathing. It slows down the heartbeat. Then it stimulates the activity of stomach, that means you will start feeling hungry. It inhibits release of glucose and stimulates gallbladder, that is your release of glucose will be restricted, it will be reduced, and it will stimulate the gallbladder, that is your gallbladder function would increase. It will stimulate the activity of intestine, your intestine will start working more rapidly, and it will contract your bladder. Also it will promote erections of genitals. So this all functions happens because of parasympathetic system. Okay, then in sympathetic system what happens is it dilates the pupils, means your pupils will expand. It inhibits salivation, means your salivation would stop or it would forbid. Then it relaxes the airways, which means you will start breathing heavily and deeply. It increases your heartbeat, which in turns would increase your blood pressure. It inhibits activity of stomach, which means your stomach activity would be reduced. Stimulates release of glucose, your release of glucose would be increased, but your functions of gallbladder will be reduced. Then it inhibits activity of intestine, which means your functions of intestine would be reduced. Sympathetic system, it releases adrenaline and noradrenaline. Then your bladder gets relaxed, and also it promotes ejaculation and vaginal contractions. Okay, so these are the basic differences between the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system. So let's see how this system works during the situation of stress. So during the stressful situation, our sympathetic system comes into picture, and it provides us extra energy that is needed to meet the challenge. Okay. So in sympathetic system, we saw that our respiratory process become fast and deep, our heartbeats increases, arteries get contracted, and our blood pressure increases. And also there are changes in our muscle of throat and nose, and there is more flow in the lungs. Then we have some changes in facial expressions that are related to different emotions. Okay, our digestive system is arrested a little, which means our digestive system is reduced, as we saw in the differences. Then the adrenal glands releases a large amount of catecholamine. The main catecholamines are adrenaline, non-adrenaline, and the dopamine. So all these hormones get released from our adrenaline glands. Okay, and this release of catecholamine is an indicator of the stress. This catecholamine is released during the stressful situation through our adrenaline gland. Okay, and as a result there are physiological changes seen like flight or fight response. Okay, so we know that in stressful situation we have two responses, that is flight or fight. Okay, then our hypothalamus activates the pituitary gland, which is the second pathway for our hypothalamus to deal with this stress, and it releases corticosteroid, which provides energy. So our hypothalamus activates the pituitary gland, in which it releases corticosteroid, which provides our energy to deal with the stress. Okay, so the secretions from the pituitary gland stimulates the thyroid gland and the adrenaline glands. So this secretion from the pituitary gland, that is corticosteroid, it increases the release from the thyroid gland and the adrenaline gland. Okay, and also this gland produces several changes like release of more blood cells in the bone hollow, production of more sugar in the pancreas, thickening of blood, which are very necessary to make the body system more active. So what does this release or the secretions leads to? It leads to more release of blood cells, and also the production of sugar increases in the pancreas, and along with that thickening of blood can be seen, and all these changes are necessary for our body to be more active. Okay, so these are the bodily reactions that our body react to during the stressful situation. Okay, then comes the behavioral and the cognitive reactions. So what happens in behavioral reactions is that the reactions, that is the behavioral reactions, are dependent on the intensity of stress. So what is the intensity of stress? Based on that our behavioral reactions would be there. So under the low intensity of stress, the reactions like eating, aggression or sexual behaviors etc. can be seen. During the low intensity stress, the individual is motivated toward its goal achievement, and thus it improves his performance. Okay, so under low intensity the human or the individual becomes goal oriented, and it improves its performance. But if the situation is reversed, that is if the intensity of the stress is more, that is if it is for the long duration of time, then the individual becomes maladaptive behavior. So the individual shows maladaptive behavior. So what happens in that is the person becomes irritated, he becomes impatient, weak or mild. Okay, so because of this high intensity of stress, the person becomes irritated, impatient, weak and mild, and all these are maladaptive behavior. But the intensity of stress alone is not responsible for the maladaptive behavior, but here the personal characteristics also come into picture. So if the person is able to handle, or if he is able to control the high intensity stress, then he will have no behavioral problems. Okay, so along with the intensity, the personal characteristics also plays role during the high intensity of stress. Okay, so if the person is able to handle, if he has that personal characteristics, and if the stress is of high intensity, still he will be able to control the stress. And if he is not able to control the stress, if he does not have that personal characteristics to deal with the stress, then it will lead to maladaptive behavior. Okay, so sometimes this high intensity stress results into obstructions in behavior and it leads to repressions, and also sometimes the person feels quite helpless and also becomes inactive. So if the long period of time the stress is going on and if that is of high intensity, then it results into obstruction of behavior, it leads to repression, and also the person becomes helpless and becomes inactive. So these were the behavioral reactions that an individual exhibits during the stressful situation. Okay. Now the next one is cognitive reaction. So what happens in cognitive reaction is that if the cognitive perception and interpretation of the stressful situation sometimes become damaging to the self-respect and self-interest of the person. So what happens is, in the stressful situation, the cognitive perception and the interpretation of that stressful situation leads to damaging self-respect and self-interest. Okay. So what happens is that there are negative effects on the person's memory, creative thinking, judgment and decision making. So because of this hampered self-respect and self-interest, it leads to loss of memory, creative thinking and the judgment and decision making. So for an example, if an individual is going for a job interview and because of stress he commits common errors in answering very easy questions, though he knows all the answers for this question, but because of this stress he will not be able to answer, and this reaction is of cognitive. Okay, so these were the behavioral and cognitive reactions. So next one is the emotional reactions. So there are several type of emotional reactions under stress. Okay, now if a person perceives that the stress is exciting and it's challenging, then the positive emotion would be there, like happiness, joy, exuberance would be experienced. Now if the situation is reversed and the situation is interpreted as a threatening situation, then it will lead to insecurity, and if it is uncontrollable then it will have negative effects like fear, depression, anger, etc. So if the situation or if the stress is interpreted as threatening, it will lead to insecurity, and if that insecurity is uncontrollable then it leads to fear, depression and anger. Okay, and such negative reactions are an obstacle to our efforts to face stress and strain. So this uncontrollable fear or the situation results into the stress and strain. Okay, and these stresses which people experience vary in terms of intensity, duration, complexity and predictability. So we know that the dimensions of these stresses, that is intensity, duration, complexity and the predictability. So intensity could be high or low, duration could be short term and long term, complexity could be less or more complex, and predictability can be unexpected or expected, and based on that the situation or the stress is perceived. Okay, so as you can see over here, along with the stress, the personal characteristics and the resources available are also responsible to generate a response towards the stress. So if that the stress is intense or the prolonged, it is complex or unanticipated, then the stress would have negative consequences. And if the intensity is low, the duration is short term and the complexity is less, also if we can predict the situation, then the negative effects of stress can be reduced. Okay, so these were the responses or the reactions to the stress.